you tell me what this word says?
Love.
In this video, I'll expose the truth about a girl who claims to have a third eye superpower. Here's what happened. A 9-year-old girl named Yogamata walks onto a stage, smiling, wrapped in a thick blindfold that seems impossible to see through. She's introduced as someone who's activated her third eye, an ancient concept tied to spiritual vision and heightened awareness. Her first test is simple. She's handed a piece of paper by a random person. She reads it out loud with no hesitation. Then she plays with colored toys, calling them out correctly, green, blue, yellow, despite not being able to see, or so it seems. And then comes the one-on-one test. The host confirms there are no microphones, no earpieces, no hidden help. She explains that when she uses the third eye, it's not like normal vision. It's like images appearing in her mind, like a mental slideshow. The host writes down the word love. She reads it instantly. Then he draws a tree. She names it correctly, a cedar tree. She even redraws it with matching details, the blades of grass, the trunk, and 3 dots. She says the power comes and goes based on her mood, but here's the kicker. She claims anyone can unlock this ability with the right initiation. And that initiation comes in the form of a $10,000 spiritual course led by her guru, Swami Nityananda. Yeah, that's the moment the mask starts to slip.
Anybody, you or the people who's walking around right here, even they can manifest these powers just by a touch.
Because what starts off looking like a child's fun parlor trick quickly spirals into something much darker. Let's be honest, anyone with basic knowledge of blindfold trickery would have figured this out within minutes. But you'll be surprised by the number of people who genuinely believe she has superpowers and can see with her third eye. The third eye is a mystical concept linked to spiritual insight. It is said to enhance intuition, provide psychic abilities like clairvoyance, and allow for deeper meditation and connection to higher consciousness. For all you believers watching this video, I have several logical questions for you. The first question is, during all these readings with the third eye, why is the subject or object to be identified always underneath her horizontal line of sight? Now, if she is supposedly seeing from her third eye, why does she even have to face the subject? I mean, it's supposed to be a spiritual organ that is not confined to the physical orientation of your face. Well, some may argue that since the third eye is located on the forehead, she always has to be facing towards the subject. Okay, if that's the case, then why is her head tilted at an upward angle? Wouldn't that mean she's looking at the ceiling or something above, while the object is completely out of her line of sight? This is an obvious contradiction to the demonstration of the abilities of the whole concept of the third eye. In the case of the woman, she wore a blindfold that is obviously very different from the one that the young girl wore. Her way of reading gives away the method she used. By simply comparing the position of the blindfold when she first put it on, and after a few moments, when the time comes to actually read the label of the object, the position of the blindfold mysteriously changes, especially around her nose. The blindfold technique she used is the classic nose-peeking method. You tilt your head slightly upward, which opens a downward line of sight just enough to peek past the nose. That's exactly why everything she identifies is placed below her eyeline. And yet, people still believe. Why? Because it's not about the trick, it's about the narrative. She's presented as evidence that mystical powers exist, and more importantly, that they can be bought. In this demonstration, as soon as the clipboard flips upward, she blurts out the answer because she saw it. And once the board is out of view, it doesn't matter. She's already got what she needs. In the case of the woman, the technique becomes even clearer. The woman's blindfold shifts during her act. What began snug across her nose ends up tilted just enough to allow a glimpse. When the camera zooms out, you can even see her raise her eyebrows to nudge the blindfold up, all without touching it. I can already see the comments coming, claiming the coconut trick the guru did is definitely real, because that's the last hope they're clinging to in this nonsense. Well, I will address that too, so here's what happens. A so-called guru asks the host to place an ordinary coconut on his palm, facing up. Then he gently says, "Focus your energy." Without touching the coconut, he leans to one side, and the coconut begins to roll. The guru says nothing, he just nods as if he expected it. And to the volunteer, it feels real. They genuinely believe something happened, but nothing supernatural is going on here, and it's definitely not telekinesis. Let's start with the psychology. When the guru says focus, he's not just buying time. He's priming the volunteer's brain. This is called the power of suggestion, a trick that's been studied for decades. Back in 1951, Solomon Asch showed how people will doubt their own senses just to match the expectations of others. And in 1963, Stanley Milgram demonstrated how easily people comply when they believe an authority figure is in charge, even if that means ignoring logic or discomfort. This guru is taking full advantage of that. He presents himself as an authority, tells you to concentrate, and makes you feel like something important is about to happen. Now the brain starts looking for signs. Your body becomes hyper-aware of the coconut. You want it to move. You're expecting it to move. And this creates the perfect psychological setup. But there's a physical reason it moves too. The coconut, by design, is unbalanced. It's a naturally oblong object with a slightly off-center mass. If you place it on a perfectly flat table, nothing will happen. But a human hand isn't flat. It's a soft, shifting surface with constant micro-movements. Here's where the science kicks in. When you're holding your hand out straight with an object in it, your muscles go into isometric contraction. That means they're tensed without moving. You're holding still, but your muscles are working hard, and within seconds, literally under a minute, those muscles begin to fatigue. You start to tremble ever so slightly. It's not noticeable. You don't feel it, but the coconut does. This is biomechanics 101. That tiny tremor or shift, combined with the coconut's uneven weight distribution, is enough to make it move. Think of it like balancing a pen on your hand. Even the slightest tilt sends it rolling. Now imagine you're under pressure like the host in this video. You're being watched. The guru is leaning. Your brain starts compensating for balance visually, which is another real, researched phenomenon. When someone near you leans, your body tries to subconsciously counterbalance, even if you're trying to stay still. It's called visual vestibular conflict, and it throws off your natural balance without you realizing it. So when the guru shifts his body weight to the side, you unconsciously shift the opposite way, just a little, and that's all the coconut needs. And finally, there's the ideomotor effect, the same force behind Ouija boards and pendulums. It's a subconscious reaction where your muscles make tiny movements based on what your brain expects to happen. It was first studied in 1834 by Michel Chevrel, and it's been used in every con job from fake seances to psychic spoon-bending. And that brings us to a more concerning question. One that logic alone can't fully answer. Why would a little girl lie about having powers in the first place? She's not online, she's not promoting herself, she gains nothing personally. So, if she's not the one profiting from this, someone else is. And that someone is Swami Nithyananda. He's the man who introduced these third eye awakening courses. He's also the man whose empire was built on the backs of disciples performing staged miracles, miracles like these. $10,000 for 21 days of third eye training. But it doesn't end there. Once you start digging, it gets worse. Ex-followers like Sarah Landry, who once worked closely with Nithyananda, have come forward with chilling claims.
I was sent to Toronto on what was kind of a secret mission within that organization. I was meant to try to get political asylum for the guru who calls himself Nithyananda in Canada. And at that time, simultaneously, 2 of the children from the Nithyananda Gurukul, the residential school based in his ashram outside of Bangalore, South India, were also in Toronto.
Children, she says, were trained, beaten, and brainwashed into performing these acts for paying clients.
The Gurukul head stormed into the children's dorm, made one of the children, one of the young girls, beat every other girl there until they either bled or cried tears, and that some of the kids had black eyes, some of the kids had welts visible on their skin, bruises. They were battered. They were locked inside basically a steel cage within the ladies' dorm, and none of us saw them.
These so-called miracles were nothing more than staged acts used to trick believers into giving up their money, devotion, and sometimes even their children.
The Akashic record readings she was doing was not real. Blindfold reading they were doing was also fake, and that they couldn't really body scan, they couldn't really do remote vision. People made profound life choices based on the answers given to them by these children, giving up their families, giving all of their money as a donation, signing up for programs that cost tens of thousands of dollars because kids told them in Akashic reading that they had to.
This was outright child exploitation disguised as mysticism. And the worst part is, it worked for years.
We've been brainwashed to believe that we can't even process it. But because this was a girl who I trust, I listened and I asked her, why did you fake these powers? And she cried even harder, and she said that in their school, kids were subjected to starvation. They weren't even allowed to get up to go to the bathroom unless they expressed these powers.
Now wait a minute, let's take a closer look at the footage again. Who is the guy interviewing this young girl? A quick search shows he has a channel called Frank Elaridi, where he reports on so-called superpowers, and it's quite possible he was paid to do so. Now this is just an assumption, but a logical one considering the number of videos he's made promoting this nonsense, and the fact that money is involved in targeting clients from the West who are willing to pay $10,000. His most popular videos are about these third eye abilities. It's clear that he's targeting a Western audience interested in spiritualism, and Swami Nithyananda's team has deliberately used him for that reason, because he already has access to that demographic. Here you can find another video where he's once again documenting incredible kids who can supposedly read with their third eye, and they're clearly using the same peeking technique. I mean, at this point, you'd have to be blind in your belief to ignore these obvious details. So next time you see someone claiming to unlock their third eye for $10,000, maybe ask how much of that is going toward the child's well-being and how much is going straight into the cult leader's pocket. And remember, just because a child is smiling doesn't mean she's safe. Behind this mask, only the truth remains till we meet again.